What's happening, people? Alright, so today I wanted to talk about intelligent design um, and comparing our own evolution to the evolution of AI, to the evolution of at least intelligent machines. Um, so in evolution, you've got the ideas of survival of the fittest and mutation and even sexual selection, pretty well researched and established now. Um, and the idea that evolution takes a very long time and it makes a lot of mistakes. Some of them, seemingly catastrophic. And out of this time and these mistakes, this trial and error, what is produced is many resilient species and an interdependence between a multitude of species. Um, Dealing with just, the kind of challenges, it's impossible to even comprehend what has gone into making us and to making everything around us and to making, probably more importantly, to making the relationships that exist between species, from the highest to the lowest. And so coming back to intelligent machines, unlike the evolution of the species, the evolution of AI is more akin to intelligent design. If you're familiar with the kind of battle between theories of evolution, theories of the creation of complex species like us, you've got the Darwinian type and you've got the Lamarckian type. And of course you've got creationism as well. And in many ways we are the gods, we are the intelligence behind the design of AI. Our method becomes trying to clarify and identify what the weaknesses are in our creation and to make changes in our creation to design it in an intelligent way, as intelligent as we can be, that addresses these weaknesses and builds strengths, builds an adaptation, and that often has been to what we want it to do, to what we want our creation to do, but more and more it's becoming just what it can do. And with that intelligent design, the time frame is reduced. We're not going to spend. We don't want to spend a long time creating this. We want it now. We want it as soon as possible. So there is still an iterative approach, much like evolution, much like natural evolution, and a trial and error. However, there is a goal, it seems. At least an idea of what we want. It's our goal, our idea of what a good creation is. We are creating, perhaps not in our own image, but in our own desires. So we have fairly complex desires, and we are trying to move towards some ideal that satisfies those desires, perhaps. It's quite difficult. It's quite difficult to know exactly what we are doing here, but we are doing something. More to the point, we are in many ways in control at this stage. We are moving things forward. So we've had to take conscious control of this process of creation, and there is a good possibility that real AI, would develop more naturally out of some kind of interconnectivity, like I mentioned before in my previous video. The idea of a singularity coming out of the internet is something that Werner Vinge talks about. But we chose intelligent design perhaps out of necessity. I think more out of pride and desire, desire to get the outcome as soon as possible. And whatever happens, I think our creation will be, in many ways, in our own image, at least to some extent. So we become the designers, we become the architects, the engineers of our creation. And the question then becomes, and I touched on this earlier, is what is the fittest AI? What are we trying to create? What is our ideal? What is our intent? What do we want in our offspring? And if we are creating in our own self-image, what is our self-image? It's quite a deep question. Our collective self-image, what is it? I think, to go back to evolution, it had a basis in its progression, a basis of adaptation to the environment and survival. So each advance was a result of some need to improve, to adapt, to survive. Changing conditions meant changing species. Survive, have sex, reproduce, compete, and evolution of the species returns to these. So what promotes the mutation of AI? What in us is promoting the advancement of AI? And I think right now it's what we desire. I keep coming back to this word desire. What do we want? Do you think of comfort and security, leisure and entertainment, abundance? It's not even really what we need. I think we certainly reached a level where what we need is, for the most of the Western world, it's taken care of. And I think it's debatable, but I think for the majority of people on Earth, if things were structured a little differently, everyone would have their needs taken care of. I don't think it's the necessity for survival. That's not our motivation for creating AI, and certainly not into the future. Some kind of need to advance and produce technology that would allow us to deal with greater problems. That's not our motivation in this this project. I think it's often simply novelty, curiosity, of course, and coming back to desire. We want things to be easier. We want new things. I don't know if this can match that propelling force of natural evolution. Our simple desires are quite small in comparison to. I think that there's a simplicity in evolution, in the basis of the rules that it had that made it progress. There's also just so powerful. It's almost absurd calling the rules of nature powerful. Simple and effective. So I don't know. I don't think we're altruistic in what we're trying to do in creating AI. We're not doing it for to give rise to something new and to develop life and push it forward, even at our own expense. We're not doing that. Even if it leads to our own extinction, this is not our motivation. I don't think we're that altruistic. But if we see our creation as our offspring, if this is our child, our collective child that we are giving birth to, then perhaps that is motivation enough to push to push past that point where things seem dangerous and where our own mortality, collective mortality, becomes apparent. What is our motivation for pushing past that and continuing with this goal? Yeah, so perhaps I think I've mentioned it previously. Our environment is becoming less and less understandable. We are less adapted to the environment that we're creating, which is quite a strange thing. And as a result, our survival is in danger. And as that is exacerbated, as it becomes more pronounced, then I think according to the laws of evolution, only then will new species mutate. Only then will mutation occur, and successful mutation occur. Out of necessity, perhaps machine intelligence will adapt and mutate to this new environment, a world that we created for it, and a world that we created that led to our own extinction. Alright, it's kind of all over the place, but that's alright. Have a good day. I'll see you next time. Bye bye.